Well, today we're looking at all titanium handle with CPM 20 CV steel. Plus, we take a look at 3 other competitive options and see how the 0609 stacks up to the competition. Well, that's right, folks. We are looking today at the Zero Tolerance 0609 from RJ Martin. I've seen some RJ Martin designs in the past, usually from Kershaw, that I've really liked. I think he designed the Chill. That's a great little lightweight, budget-friendly EDC knife. But this is one of the more expensive folders I've ever purchased. And as I said, there's a reason for that. That all titanium body and frame lock, as well as the CPM 20 CV steel. Now, I've had this steel a couple times on a few other blades and been extremely impressed, often outperforming S35 VN steel, which is one of my favorite kind of do everything steels that I've used and seen regularly. So the reason for me purchasing this and the reason of me bringing this up is usually when a knife is over, particularly a pocket knife, over $150, it really has to show itself worthy for me to get excited enough to throw down my hard-earned money on a knife of that design. And so I got this on a sale for $180 over on Amazon. We'll have links in the description below over to Amazon Blade HQ. You can check it out. It might still be on that lower price. It was originally $220. I was ready to pay $220 because I went to a local sporting goods store. I'd seen it. The lines really connected with me. And when I got it in my hand, I said to myself, okay, it's going to take me a while to save up, but this is a knife I must purchase and I must get, because not only does it have all of these really high-end premium aspects and features to the design, but it's rather lightweight and rather slim, and usually ZT and Zero Tolerance don't offer that. They're more known for, you know, heavy-duty, hard-hitting, heavy, beefy folders that are, you know, more for like tactical, heavy-duty, you know, utility use. This is definitely more of a light-duty, slim, elegant EDC blade, and so that really connected with me as well. So we're going to take a look today at all that this knife has to offer. Are there any hang-ups? Are there any drawbacks to the design? Is it worth the money that I paid and that you may want to pay for this design by the time the video is over, or is it better just to pass on this knife? That's what we want to do in this video. So let's go ahead and jump to it and see what this blade has to offer. All right, we're going to go ahead and start. Usually we do the blade, but I'm going to look at the handle here. That's a big selling point to me. We do have that, again, titanium all the way around, really nicely machined, lots of detail on that titanium. No sharp edges. There aren't any sharp or rough edges on this thing. Very, very well done, especially for that price that we are looking at on this thing. Really good texturing down the center there. Lots of different layering. So you can tell that a lot of attention to detail was put into this. And it's been coated, you know, with an anodized bronze finish to it. So it's got that cool bronze and then satin look to the design. Now, the weight is 3.3 ounces, which is awesome for this size of knife. For all the, you know, fit and finish and quality, we're getting a very lightweight blade. And that's another thing that drew me to this, is that under 4 ounces, I'm getting a really nice, sleek, slim blade, great for EDC, because the handle length is going to be 4 inches even. Fits my large size hands very well. Really happy with that feel, that length. Just a little bit out the back. The grooves fit perfectly, no hot spots. Nice blocky jimping, nothing that's super sharp or abrupt. You know, definitely doesn't have a tactical feel to the jimping. It's nice and comfortable, giving me just that little bit of rest on that thumb ramp, and then a nice finger flipper cut in there. So I'm really locked into place, even though it's you know, a metal, or in this case, you know, titanium, slicker handle than say like a G10 or, you know, a polymer with all kinds of crazy texturing. It's still with the texture down the center and then those 2 locking positions here near the neck. I really have a good grip on the knife, good control over the harder cutting tasks that I may want to do with this design, even though it's supposed to be designed, you know, as a nice, sleek, elegant blade. Now the handle height is 1.125 inches from top to bottom, and then it has a maximum thickness of 0.46, so it's nice and slim as well. So it really just works great as a great EDC, everyday carry type of knife. And the handle is completely flow-through construction with those knife standoffs on the back. There is no lanyard hole. There's probably enough, it's pretty close. I don't know, you could maybe try and get like a thin paracord wrap through there. maybe like almost more like bank line, or you could try and do it, you know, through the pocket clip, but there's not a lanyard hole on this particular design. But other than that, guys, great. It's slim, it's lightweight, and fills out my hands perfectly, and just feels great. You know, it's not this big, bulky, beefy, kind of what we normally would expect. Here's the what is this one? This is the 0566. Great knife, but much beefier, heavier, thicker. You know, it doesn't feel like that. It's much more elegant and slim. We'll take a brief time out here to look at the pocket clip. Tip up only, right or left, so completely ambidextrous with that flipper and the frame lock working all together. So lefties, you'll love this knife. Good, gives you just enough to grab. It's not a high ride, but it's not like a loop over deep ride either. So there's a good grab right there that you can pull the knife out easily, but giving you enough with the pocket clip of a standoff so I can get it over my double thick, you know, reinforced pockets without issue, and it's not flaring out the pocket clip all weird or anything like that. Just a very mild flare, enough to catch your pocket and stick it in there, and slides right into place with good retention, so you're less likely to lose your $200 pocket knife. So now let's look at the pivot, the frame lock, the deployment, all of that. Now it is a flipper design that they have done super well. Just a little bit of very light jimping. Fits, I mean, it's just easy because it's on KVT ball bearing bushing. So those things just fly open. If you ever used a KVT, it's very nice, really well done. Don't even need to flick the wrist, and that thing's gonna deploy every single time. Righties, lefties, you're gonna love it. So deployment, not only on the ball bearings, but also on the flipper, just work together so nicely, very smooth. And it feels a little tighter than some other ball bearings, not in a negative way at all. Some ball bearings from particularly like ball bearing pivots like from China and stuff like that, they're smooth, they're quick, they're like butter, but you can tell that there's a lot of play. There's like no play, up, down, right, or left. I mean, super solid lockup. And it just feels like a better fit and finish, a better tightness to the pivot, which I'm really happy about. So I really like that. That's just super solid in there. Now, you could argue, obviously, that ball bearings aren't as strong or durable, if you will, as bronze bushings, and that's absolutely true, but this is not designed as, again, like some big heavy-duty tactical knife. This is designed as that elegant EDC folder that can do a lot of work for you. It's definitely a good worker. You're going to see that here in a moment when I put in all the blade footage that I took this thing through, because I've used this almost constantly since I bought it and have been loving it. So that is the deployment, the pivot, all of that. We'll talk about the pivot itself in just a moment. Just want to show you the titanium frame lock there. Now they have put in a stainless steel portion right there to go up against the blade, just so it's smoother, feels better, and has a stronger lockup. You can see there it's hitting about 50% of the back of the blade there. It's just enough for you to get your finger in there. I'm not jamming it in to try and remove it and then moving it off to the side. I've not had a single problem. Some people, what they tend to do, they hate frame locks. My brother kind of tends to have this problem. He hasn't really had it with this one, but they put pressure on the frame lock itself while they're squeezing it, trying to deploy the blade, and then it doesn't want to deploy. It's very hard, and I think it's called, some people call it, I guess, like a death lock or something. Just put your finger right here and don't press hard. And if you put any pressure, put it on the back side of the frame, not on the frame lock itself, and boom, every time. I've never had an issue with frame locks. Some people do. I do not, and this one is no different. This thing just works phenomenally for me without issue because of my finger placement and everything else. Just works great. Don't even have to think about it. And it'll deploy. The lockup is super tight. Great. Now, the pivot itself is super cool, but a point of contention with some people. So I want to kind of let you in on it. Now, it's a design that apparently R.J. Martin came up with himself, which is ultra cool because I've never seen it on another knife, is a see-through pivot. You can see through the pivot there, the background going through there, and it's super cool. I really like that a lot. You know, all other knives, they're going to have just a solid pivot, right? This one doesn't. You can see through there, and it's just an ultra cool look to it. Now, the thing is, it has a custom tool that ZT apparently did not release when this knife originally came out. There was no way really, unless you kind of like jerry-rigged it with some other tool, to adjust the pivot. Now, the pivot with the centering is dynamic. It's perfect. No floating. And I'm not a person that usually takes apart my knives unless there's some sort of horrible issue with it. I just leave them as is. Some people love to take them apart and put them back together and do it 5 times, and it's like stripping a gun to them or something. For me, I don't take my knives apart unless there's some sort of major problem or the blade is floating to the right or to the left. I rarely have that issue on most knives, and if I do, and if it's like floating all over the place constantly, I usually will send it back. I'll be like, I'm not going to deal with this and try and like tighten up the pivot of 50 times to try and get a perfect centering. This is perfectly centered, haven't had floating to the right or to the left, but it needs a custom specialty tool. Now, they are now available. You can either get them online or you could hit up Zero Tolerance. That is what I've done. I sent them a request to say, hey, I bought this and it did not include the tool. We'll see if they respond and send me one. I think it should come with one, absolutely. It was silly that they sold these without them originally and that mine did not come with one. Mine might have been of the old stock, I don't know, but I heard somebody say some of them are now coming with them, so you could look a little bit deeper into that. Otherwise, they're about $18 for the actual tool that is now being sold by ZT. So you either have to spend another almost $20 on the knife to get the pivot tool if that's something that's of value to you. If not, then you could either hope that it comes with it or you could contact ZT and see what they can do for you. So I think that they should offer that if you're offering a custom pivot, it better come with a custom way to be able to fix the pivot and work on the knife if need be. So I believe that is a misstep by ZT. They should have launched it with the pivot tool. Now that it's available, all of them should come with it standard, and they should ship them to anybody that owns them if they want them, because otherwise you can't take the knife apart without that custom tool. So that's just something to consider, something to keep in mind, and something that you may need to look into if that is a concern to you or you do need the pivot tool for some reason. All right, folks, moment of truth. Man, not only does the handle, the frame lock, the action, all of it just it's tasty, it's nutritious, it makes me feel good inside and out. The blade shape, profile, and material is also amazing. Now we got that satin finish blade. We are looking at a total length from handle to tip of 3.4 inches, actual cutting edge 3.375. Great blade length, awesome. It's going to be able to do great amount of tasks for you. It's not too small, it's not too large in my opinion. Really hitting that perfect amount there. The blade height is 1 inch. A saber grind or a flat grind, so it's not some goofy weird grind you got to worry about, or multiple grinds. Great, belly, great straight portion, awesome relief edge, and then it's going to have a thickness of 0.12, so 1/8 of an inch thick back here, tapering down. Perfect. That is everything about the blade. That was the other aspect to it. Just super connected with me. And as you're seeing in the footage I'm rolling in with you guys, this thing was a slicer, not only of cardboard and material, but of going through cordage, going through rope, going through rubber that I use around the house to do a lot of our testing. It cut better than many other blades out there, even better than this other ZT, because it doesn't have quite as abrupt a shoulder. It has a higher grind and it has a slightly thinner blade tapering down. So all of that just made it for an amazing slicer, but still giving you great lines, great look, nice swedge up there. And then again, that CPM 20 CV, I've only used it a few times. It's an absolute super steel, premium. It's going to hold an edge for a very long time. And I'm not going to go into all the details. I'm not a steel expert. You can do some more research on it. It's not going to be the easiest to resharpen. It's a super steel. They tend to be a little bit more difficult. So just know that you got to have a good, either kit with you and know what you're doing, or just make sure when you start to notice a little bit of dulling over a long period of time, then to put it on a ceramic rod and you'll be good to go. But guys, I love the overall presentation, the feel, the design, the steel, the blade shape, all of these things coming together to just make a phenomenal design blade, in my opinion, in one of my favorite pocket knives I've ever looked at, purchased, owned. I mean, this thing is on par. Man, I love you guys so much out here in the snow. To wrap up this video and particularly do the head-to-head portion now to really discuss why would you spend, let's just say, $200 to make it easy on this knife compared to many other blades that we've not only reviewed here, but also that are just available on the market. What makes this really stand out, and what would make you gravitate to this before other blades? So we'll look first at the one that we've been showing you a couple times throughout the video, the 0566 Rick Hinderer design. Great heavy duty blade, very similar lines in that they're, you know, a flipper, Kershaw, they're frame locks. You know, there's a lot of that aspect. Now this is going to have S35 VN steel, great steel, I love it, but this is going to be even more premium with the type of steel that they're using on the RJ Martin. So that's something right out of the gate. But I mean, they're very similar in size as well. But the difference would be in why you would maybe go for this over this or the RJ over the Hinderer is that the RJ is going to be much lighter and slimmer. So that's something right out of the gate, that if you're looking for something that's lighter, it's slimmer, well then this obviously is going to be the choice for you. And then you might be looking for something that's not assisted. You like ball bearings or manual folders. You know, this version is an assisted version. They do have manuals out there, but they're about the same price. And again, they're going to be bigger and heavier. So that's something that again sets this apart. And then the premium aspect to it. You know, this is stainless steel and G10. This is all titanium. And so there's aspects to the 0609 that are not only going to give you a higher feel of quality, but also going to be slimmer and lighter in the pocket. So those are things that may set this apart and how you're going to use the knife. This is definitely more of a light duty EDC, light to medium duty, I would say. This is medium to heavy duty folder. So depending on how you want to use the knife will also determine whether or not the 0609 is going to be the right choice for you or not compared to other ZTs out there. Haven't seen this bad boy on screen for a while, but I wanted to run it in real quick for us. Is the Mini Gecko in M390 from Steel Will. Phenomenal blade, all machine G10. I believe you can get them in micarta. Again, M390 steel, a very good high-end steel as well. The difference again would be, even though these are very similar in size, the Gecko is going to be about 2 ounces heavier. It's going to be thicker in your pocket. Now again, that helps with ergonomics. So maybe if you're going to be using your folder a lot for, again, heavier duty tasks or longer cutting tasks, you want to be gripping this knife and you think you're going to be like, yeah, I'm going to be breaking down cardboard boxes for 15, 20 minutes. Well, then this might be a better choice because the ergonomics are fuller and you're going to fill that hand out more. And it's going to just be an overall thicker, you know, bigger, beefier blade overall, even though it has a very premium feel and a very high-end steel that may have even close to the same edge retention as what you're going to get on the 0609. So that's something to consider. It is a lockback though. Some people love lockbacks. Some people, they can't stand them. So that might be a breaking point for you as well. But it really, as we're looking at these knives, is coming down to lightweight aspects, thin aspects, and the just absolute crazy premium feel of the CPM 20 CV, as well as the all titanium handle. You know, those things are making this 0609 stand out from some of these other close to $200, if not $200 pocket knives. So finally, up till now, we've been looking at these two kind of heavier duty folders, but still very premium. Now let's look at the Osborne, what is it, 940. We have this one in G10 with green handled standoffs. I don't know if you guys can see that very well. This one is going to be even lighter than the RJ Martin and going to be very sleek and slim. So that has some things going for it. The difference is going to be, again, that we're looking at, they have all kinds of different styles out there. They have aluminum handle scales. This is a G10 handle scale. I think they have carbon fiber handle scales. But most of the models in this size and price range are going to be S30V steel, which is still a great steel, but at around the same price point, between $180 and $200, and these go between $180 and $200, I'm going to get a much more premium steel that will hold its edge a lot longer than S30V. So that's something to consider. And then again, for about the same price point, I'm going to bust this out, and you know, with your 0609, you just have another just level of elegance of, well, I'll just be honest, knife jerkdom. You're a knife lover and you're kind of a jerk about it, and you have the money to spend on it, and you're like, yo, check out my titanium CPM 20 CV steel, you know, blade that I'm rocking here on KVT ball bearings. When you bust that out, even if somebody that's got an Osborne, there's a high probability they're gonna kind of go, I really like my Osborne, because don't get me wrong, I love my Osborne, but they're gonna be like, it ain't as cool as yours. So that's something to consider also, just for pure performance situation. The grind, hopefully you guys can see this here, the grind on the ZT is going to be higher than on the Osborne, so it will be a better slicer than the saber grind that we have on the Osborne, just because it's a thinner, more dagger-esque blade and won't slice quite as well as the ZT, because the ZT has that better edge geometry. So something to consider as well. Again, don't get me wrong, I love my Osborne and I love my RJ Martin. They both have their place, but that's something to consider when you're on this level of budget, around $200, to help you determine, is the 0609 the right tool and the right choice for you, or these other blades? Again, we'll have them all in the description below over to Amazon and Blade HQ. And I invite you to also check out Knockaround Sunglass Company as well as backcountry.com. Those will also be in the links below. Help us continue to buy gear just like this and make content just like this. Well, folks, there you have it. I do hope that this video has been very informative, showing you what is going good for this ZT, what maybe are some hangups for you, that you can make that really wise choice, because particularly at this price point, you really got to weigh the odds. You got to balance everything and make a wise choice, and that's what we always want to do here with these videos, and I hope we've done that in this particular video for you. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook. If you're not following us already, please subscribe if you're not a current subscriber. We got the little icon popping up, as well as the next video. Check out some of our other videos if you're new to the channel and haven't seen some of the other content that we produce. We make videos like this every single week. Finally, guys, always remember, stay equipped, stay prepared, and we'll see you out there.